Okay, so picture this. Chick kills her boyfriend in a car crash.
Allegedly responsible for the accident. Nuance?
Whatever. He's dead. She does 5 years, pops out his kid in prison, gets out, waltzes back to town where everyone hates her, and immediately starts making goo eyes at the dead boyfriend's best friend.
And welcome back to Heart Book Radio, where subtlety goes to die. We are, regrettably it seems, discussing Colleen Hoover's Reminders of Him, a book that apparently posits the quickest way to get over manslaughter is to sleep with the victim's grieving best mate.
It's called Moving On. God, you're such a prude. Anyway, this book basically forced this down everyone's throat, promising tears. And yeah, I cried tears of rage at some points. This author, I swear, she just wants to emotionally manipulate people for profit. It's like she has a dartboard of tragedies and just throws.
While I wouldn't phrase it quite so crudely, the narrative structure does rely heavily on heightened emotional stakes, perhaps to the detriment of psychological realism. The author's intention seems to be exploring themes of grief and forgiveness, but...
Intentions? Who cares? Let's talk Kenna, our jailbird protagonist. Is she tragically misunderstood or just a walking disaster zone who got lucky she's pretty? Because let's be real, if she looked like my neighbor Carol after a bender, nobody would be rooting for her.
That's cynical. Kenna served her time. The book attempts to portray her remorse, her longing for her daughter, Diem. It quotes, "It is what it is. A messed up situation with no evil people to blame. It's trying for moral ambiguity."
Ambiguity. She killed him. Maybe she wasn't blackout drunk. Maybe it was an accident. But she still made choices. And then she gets out and her first big move is targeting Ledger. Dead Scotty's best friend. That's not ambiguous. That's messy. That's like something Brandy Glanville would pull on Real Housewives.
Ledger Ward, the ex-football player turned successful bar owner, the supposed hero.
Hero? Poft? More like Vulture Ward, swooping in the second Scotty's cold, and don't get me started on him reading her private letters to the dead guy. Total violation. One reviewer nailed it. Ledger, by the way, that's a terrible name, was a horrible person. Horrible, he's giving me major creep vibes. Like my ex Dave, always helping, but really just sniffing around.
His actions are certainly questionable. The invasion of privacy is ethically fraught, even if his stated goal was to help Kenna reconnect with Diem by showing the letters to Scotty's parents, Grace and Patrick.
Oh, the parents. Okay. Initially, I get it. Your son is dead because of this woman. You raise his kid. You put up a restraining order. Fine. But then they read one letter, and suddenly it's all hugs and rainbows and welcome to the family. Darling girl who ended our bloodline prematurely. Are you kidding me? That 180 gave me whiplash. I hated them more at the end for being so ridiculously unbelievable than I did when they were being vengeful.
The narrative expediency of the resolution is jarring. It undermines the weight of the preceding conflict. It feels unearned. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Is this book actually any good?
Good? It's like eating a whole tub of ice cream when you're sad. You know, it's bad for you, kind of gross, maybe makes you feel sick, but you can't stop. People online are either like 5 stars, bawling my eyes out at 2 a.m., send therapy bills, or they're screaming about the ending. One review just said, "Is that a freaking pigeon?" I don't know what that means, but I felt it in my soul.
The critical reception is certainly polarized. You have 5-star reviews praising the beautifully told story of redemption, and 1-star rants decrying emotional manipulation and insta-lust. We even got a fake email, thanks. Intern Kevin, supposedly from a Brenda and Boys, saying, "Ledger reading those letters was the most romantic invasion of privacy ever."
Brenda needs help. Seriously. The insta-lust was insane. They barely know each other. The ghost of her dead boyfriend / his best friend is practically hovering over the bed, and they're just going at it. It's not hot. It's weird. If Kenna were a sandwich, she'd be like, a leftover tuna melt found in a prison jumpsuit pocket. You could eat it, but should you?
I can't believe I'm engaging with this. Look, the initial exploration of Kenna's isolation and grief had potential. The raw pain of losing a child you've never known. The societal judgment. There were glimmers of something profound there.
Glimmers that got snuffed out by the ridiculous romance plot. I'll admit, the scene where Ledger shows her a picture of Diem and she just loses it. Okay, fine. That got me a little. But then the ending just bulldozed everything. It's like Colleen Hoover got bored and just typed, "And they all lived happily ever after the end."
It did feel abrupt, a disservice to the complexities it attempted to raise, so final verdict time. Your sophisticated rating?
Okay. For sheer audacity and making me yell at a book, I give Reminders of Him 3 out of 5 restraining orders. It was a hot mess, but honestly, kinda addictive. Like watching a car crash, which feels appropriate here.
And I give it one lengthy sigh out of a possible existential void. It's emotionally manipulative schlock masquerading as literature. It's Twilight all over again, prioritizing obsessive, questionable romance over actual character development.
Don't you dare bring Edward Cullen into this. Twilight is art. Ledger wishes he had Edward's sparkle.
Kill me now. That's all the time we have on Heartbook Radio. Join us next week when we'll be dissecting Chadwick the Sentient Doorknob Finds Love.
Ooh, sounds steamy by book nerds.